one of his quotes. And if you think about it, particularly if you think about it on a global scale, what we're doing here now about climate, as we said, is the crisis part of what we have to address. But it's coupled with finding equity and equality on gender issues, respect for women, respect for people to be able to make decisions about their own bodies and their own timelines. It's understanding that no one in a world that has so much abundance and so much plenty should be hungry, should be without clothing, should be without resources, should be without shelter. No one in a world that has the abundance and the plenty that we have in this world right now should find themselves being turned away from a border because of some perceived notion that the slightest possibility that they may be part of some other thing. We have always been a nation that at least officially opened the door. We didn't always treat people that well when you got here. And some people came over on boats and they didn't sign up for it. But that notwithstanding, the United States in particular and what our country has meant has always been a beacon and a promise to the world. Now, that's a typical conversation that Barbara and I would have as we were driving from Iowa City over to Des Moines for whether it was the Iowa Interfaith event. And I just share with you, for those of you who were lucky enough to know and to work with her, how wonderful it was to have her as a friend, as a mentor, as a beacon. And I was trying to figure out what, as an ally, what kind of word I would use, because people talked about her leadership. She had a gentleness to her leadership, but I decided to call it love leadership. Because Barbara really did work and was motivated around love. And so I'll share one personal story. We had a granny's meeting, and I was having a hard time, because everybody has hard times sometimes. And as an only child, I kind of kept things in. But Barbara had realized this, and she had been knitting. And Barbara used to do a lot of knitting. And I don't think anybody else who's here tonight, maybe you were there, Mary, I can't remember. But she had been knitting, and she had finished knitting a prayer shawl for me. And she said, "Oh, Diane, before we leave, I have something." And she pulled it out and put it around me. And I just was a puddle. I mean, my knees, which are pretty shaky most days, I just collapsed, because it showed a connection, a level of understanding, of love, of caring, of nurturing, of support that was beyond anything I could have hoped for. It was the moment that I felt like she truly became my sister. And I hope we think of that and use her model of love leadership as the way in which we address and take care of each other, and we take care of our planet. Now, we're kind of grouped, many of the grannies are groupies for Jim Hansen, and I always remind people to say Iowa City's own Jim Hansen, James Hansen, the premier NASA client scientist, who was the first person to speak on this before Congress in 1988 at the behest of John Kerry, who was still in the House of Representatives at the time. But she read his book, The Storms of Our Grandchildren, and that truly inspired her to move beyond caring about this to doing something about it. And I actually personally decided a few weeks ago, I'm going to stop talking about climate change. And I don't talk, I just have lost, personally, I've lost my patience to deal with anybody who's still denying it. Somebody else needs to deal with them. I'm just tired. I just can't do that anymore. But I've decided I'm only going to talk about climate action at this point. And I think that's what we can take from this. Barbara realized we had to move from care and concern to what was going to be our action. And that became the impetus and the inspiration to pull together a dinner, a neighbor, a friend, a sister, a colleague. So the 100 Grannies was formed, and we will have our 5th anniversary this coming Tuesday. I don't want to talk too long, but I hope that we'll remember always Barbara as an example, but we're not doing this for her. We're doing this because we were inspired by her. And there's no separation between how we handle our faith, how we address the environment, how we work on issues for gender, issues of poverty eradication. It is true all part of a singular piece.
That's right.
And what we each have to do is to be accountable for those grandchildren that some of us have, that some of us hope to have, and the generations that come beyond that. Because they will ask, when you knew, what did you do? And I personally don't want to be the one who said, I didn't do anything, because now is our time to be at the helm to demonstrate how we are stewards of a magnificent array that has been given to us. Our responsibility is to only hand it over better, more abundantly, and more available to all. So thank you everyone who volunteered, who came, who took part in today. I know it's only a down payment on everything that we're going to continue to do. We're going to bring more people along. We're going to do this for all of those cute little people who had their faces.
Check to all U.S. citizens, which has the effect of stimulating the economy and making it, giving renewables, incentivizing renewable energy. It has another couple perks, which are that economists all agree that this is the best way to deal with climate change, and that Republicans are even open to it because it doesn't grow the size of government, and it might even reduce the size of government because you might need less regulations. And so one of the big accomplishments, tangible accomplishments that the Citizens Climate Lobby has gotten in the last year is called the Climate Solutions Caucus in the U.S. House of Representatives. This is a voting bloc of Republicans and Democrats. It's exactly bipartisan that want to do something about climate change. It was founded in February 2016, and by last November, it had 18 members, which is 9 Republicans wanting to do something about climate change, which right there is just mind-blowing to me. That's an actual fact. Then after President Trump was elected, you might think that this group might have given up and, canceled its membership. But instead, what happened now, it's up to 36 members, which is 18 Republicans. And to put that in a little more perspective, just a month ago or so, when they were trying to overhaul Obamacare, 30 Republicans banded together and blocked the passage of that. So 30 Republicans, we have 18 Republicans who want to do something about climate change. We're starting to get up to a significant block of representatives. And the House is generally the more extreme of the two houses between the House and the Senate. So that's super exciting news right there. Another piece of, I guess I didn't tie that to Citizens Climate Lobby. A Citizens Climate Lobby volunteer took it upon himself to help start this caucus. He just traveled to Florida and met with all the people he needed to there and helped found it. So that was really exciting. Also, Citizens Climate Lobby is has helped the formation of another conservative group called the Climate Leadership Council. And this is headed by former CEOs, former secretaries of state, secretaries of treasury under Republican administrations. So these are all like the conservative luminaries that are sort of the thought leaders of the party. They came out in February of this year with a revenue neutral carbon tax. They call it a tax. Fee is more accurate because it doesn't grow the size of government. It's not kept by the government. But their plan is almost identical to Citizens Climate Lobby's plan. So they're hearing it from their own leadership. They're hearing it from the citizens, and the group is growing in Congress. So I'm really excited about what's happening. Citizens Climate Lobby, for me and my wife, we weren't sure that we wanted to bring a child into the world with climate change looming. But after being a member of Citizens Climate Lobby for a few years, we gained the confidence and the certainty that we were going to conquer climate change, and now we have a 6-month-old daughter. Finally, I want to just say this is, I think, going to be looked back on as one of the greatest human rights movements in human history. It may not seem like it, but it's really a slow motion human rights disaster, because the rich countries are causing this to happen, and the people that are going to suffer the most and first and the worst are poor non-Western countries and poor non-Western people. Everyone has a right to a stable climate, and so I thank everyone here today for helping to make that happen.